A widower in Ohio, 81, answered his door on a warm Thursday in June. Two polite young men in work clothes said they had just finished a job down the street and had material left on the truck that would go to waste. They could seal his driveway for $400, cash, today only. By 6 that evening, he had paid $19,000, and the driveway was worse than when they started. I worked bank fraud for 30 years, and the door knock cons were the only ones where I ever saw the criminals in daylight. Tonight, I am going to show you what that first knock is actually for, how $400 becomes $19,000 in a single afternoon, and the 3 sentences that end this at the doorstep every time. Understand this first, and the rest makes sense. The men at your door are not there to sell you a driveway. They are there to find out 4 things, and the driveway is the excuse to stand close enough to learn them. They want to know whether you live alone. They will ask if your husband is home, or whether they should come back when your son is around. It sounds like courtesy. It is a census. They want to know whether you can be moved. A small, cheap, easy yes is the whole point of the $400 offer. It is not the product. It is a test of whether you say yes to a stranger under mild time pressure. They want to see inside. When you go for your checkbook or your wallet, they watch where you go. I have read reports where the entire job was a pretext for one man to see which room the safe was in, while the other kept the homeowner talking on the porch. And they want to know whether you have cash on hand, because everything that follows depends on that answer. The driveway itself is almost irrelevant. In the cases I saw, what actually got applied was usually a thin coat of watered-down sealer, or in the worst instances used motor oil, which looks black and wet and correct for about 2 weeks, and then destroys the surface underneath. The leftover story is not laziness in the pitch. It is a carefully built device, and it does 3 jobs at once. It explains the low price, so you do not wonder why it is a fifth of what a real contractor quotes. It explains the urgency, because leftover material hardens on the truck, which means today, right now, and no time for you to call anybody. And it explains why they have no paperwork, no written estimate, no license number, and no company name on the truck. They were not planning to be here. They are doing you a favor. Every legitimate paving contractor I have ever spoken with says the same thing about this. Material is bought to the job. There is no meaningful leftover. A crew driving a residential street with extra hot asphalt or extra sealer is not a business with a scheduling problem. It is the pitch itself. The escalation is where the real craft is, and it always runs the same ladder. It starts mid-job. They are half finished when one of them calls you out to look at something. There is a crack under the surface. The base is failing. Water is getting underneath, and by winter the whole slab will heave. Now the price is $2,000, because we have to do it properly, and we cannot leave it opened up like this. You are already committed. Your driveway is torn up, your car is on the street, and 2 strangers are standing in your yard waiting for an answer. That position is engineered. Nobody says no comfortably from there. Then the ladder extends past the driveway. While we were up on the ladder, we noticed your gutters. Your roof has lifted shingles. There is a soft spot on the fascia. Your chimney needs tuck pointing. Each new item is discovered, urgent, and cheaper if bundled today. Then the payment changes shape. The card machine is not working. The bank is closed. Cash is better, and we can knock off a few hundred for it. In many cases, one crew member drives the homeowner to the bank personally and waits in the parking lot, which is not helpfulness. It is supervision, to keep a teller from having a quiet word. I sat in on interviews where victims described that drive and only realized afterward that they had never been left alone for a moment from the first knock to the last payment. The money is gone when it is handed over in cash, and it usually is cash. There is no chargeback on cash. There is no account to trace, no name on a receipt, and frequently no real company to sue. The truck has no signage or a magnetic sign that comes off at the county line. The phone number, if you got one, stops working within a week. There is one thing that genuinely helps, and almost nobody does it. If a crew is working at your house right now and something feels wrong, walk out and photograph the license plate on the truck. Just the plate. That single photograph is the difference between a report that goes nowhere and one that occasionally puts a crew out of business, because these crews travel and work the same route through several counties in a season. And if you have already paid, report it anyway to your state attorney general and to local police, even months later. Nobody knocking on doors does it once. You do not need to be rude and you do not need to argue. You need 3 sentences. The first is this: I do not do business at the door. Say it as a rule about yourself, not a judgment about them. Rules are much harder to argue with than opinions, and a crew running a route has no interest in a slow conversation. The second is this: leave me your license number and I will call you after I get 2 other quotes. Every legitimate contractor hands that over without blinking, because that is how contracting works. A crew running this con will not, and the offer usually evaporates on the spot, because their entire business model dies the moment you are permitted to think overnight. The third is for the moment mid-job when the price changes. Stop work. I am not approving anything more today. You are allowed to say that. The job being half done is not a debt you owe them. It was arranged to feel like one. And if you remember one line from tonight, make it this: nobody who is genuinely good at a trade needs to knock on your door and needs your answer today. Real contractors have a backlog. The urgency at your doorstep is never about the material on the truck. It is about keeping you from making one phone call to somebody who would tell you no.